What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and today I will be bringing you 40 facts on the Warhammer 40k universe once again. This time, we will be diving into chaotic lore on one of the Ruinous Four. His name is Typhus, the Herald of Nurgle. Now, I know a lot of guys want this lore, so I'm going to do my best to give you it as creepily as possible, because this guy is nasty, disgusting, bloated, and he's got a freaking scythe as a weapon. So without further ado, here are 40 facts on Typhus. Typhus was born Callus Typhon on the Death Guard eventual homeworld of Barbarous. Typhon possessed the blood of the warlords that had ruled the planet before being defeated by Mortarion, the Death Guard's Primarch. As a child of the toxic planet of Barbarous, Callus Typhon was troubled by nightly phenomena over which he believed he had no control. Objects would shudder and smash around him whenever he was frightened or angered, and plants would wither and die. These powers troubled him greatly, but he resolved to turn them to his advantage. By the time Typhon reached maturity, he had learned to master the psychic energies that resonated within him each night, a feat that will impress his elders mightily. With this act, Typhon became stronger in his resolve to succeed than any of his peers. When the Emperor reclaimed his lost son Mortarion from the poisonous mists of Barbarous and reunited him with the superhuman warriors born from his gene seed, Typhon was among those chosen to join his ranks. As he joined the Legion, his psychic potential was suppressed through training due to the anti-psyker sentiment of his Primarch. Nonetheless, through his rugged talent, Typhus was eventually able to rise to the prestigious position of First Captain. According to Typhon himself, he was secretly converted to worship the gods of chaos by his friend Erebus, the first chaplain of the Wordbearers. In fact, Typhon's allegiance to chaos predated that of his own Primarch, or of Horus himself. With the help of the new gods, Typhon became first captain of the Death Guard and commander of the battleship Terminus Est. Typhus was not particularly loyal to Mortarion, and always wished to travel the galaxy and forge his own destiny in the name of the Ruinous Powers. When Mortarion joined Horus in his rebellion, Typhon helped orchestrate the massacre of the Loyalist Space Marines on Isstvan III, when Horus's fleet virus-bombed the surface and killed nearly every living thing above ground. Because Battle Captain Nathaniel Garl was unable to join his Loyalist comrades on the surface, Typhon detailed him to the frigate Eisenstein, along with Commander Ignatius Gulgor, privately ordering Gulgor to deal with Garl and his men when necessary. Typhon was furious when the Eisenstein broke from orbit without joining the virus bombing. Realizing that Gulgor had failed, he commanded the Terminus Est in pursuit of the frigate and managed to severely damage the vessel, but he was unable to stop it from escaping into the warp. Later on, during the Heresy, Typhon led half of the Death Guard in a splinter fleet, while Mortarion himself took command of the other. During this campaign of misery and misdirection against the Dark Angels, Typhon's fleet attempted to acquire the Tuatula engine in fulfillment of Nurgle's design, but he was foiled by Lionel Johnson during the Battle of Perditus. Hounded by a Dark Angel's retribution force under the command of Corswain, Typhon's fleet later reappeared at the Zeramon system. There, the Death Guard forces were welcomed by Luthor and his fallen angels. As the heresy that Horus initiated slowly but surely escalated into galactic war, Mortarion ordered his fleet to head for Terra with all haste, intending for the Death Guard to join the other traitor legions in the destruction of the false Emperor. By this point, Typhon served one master alone, and it was not his Primarch. Typhon had seen to it that the fleet's navigators were killed to a man, but reassured Mortarion that the warp gift he possessed would see them through their journey in the Imperium safe enough. Though he hated the concept of relying on witchery, Mortarion was left with little choice. The Death Guard fleet made transition into the warp, and into the process, they damned themselves to an eternity of war as the puppets of a foul and ancient god. In leading the Death Guard into the warp, Typhon had delivered them into the clutches of his new master, Nurgle, the Lord of Decay. The strange tides of the Imperium are notoriously fickle, and during their voyage the entire fleet was becalmed. As their warships lingered directionless and without hope, the cloying influence of Father Nurgle began to take hold. The Death Guard were subjugated to the terrible infection of the Destroyer Plague and Nurgle's rot, as Nurgle's power managed to infiltrate the vessels of this legion. It polluted the vessels themselves as easily as it did the warriors within. Before long, fat devil flies buzzed through the thickening miasma inside each warship, where they bit at the desperate warriors trapped within, flesh turning into jelly. The demon venom of their stings caused flesh to blossom into hard new growths. Bellies distended and eyes ran like cracked eggs. Even power armor melded and flowed into strange new shapes. Here, the superhuman resistance of the Death Guard proved their enemy, for they could not simply die. Instead, they were slowly, sickeningly transformed into plague marines, their souls claimed by Nurgle in exchange for a permanent release from their pain. Typhon, having orchestrated this grand corruption, was rewarded most of all. Swelling in size, his skin and armor became one. Great funnels of pestilential bone burst from his body. Into these poured thousands of Nurgle's demon flies, gnawing at him from the inside out, until finally his rotten shell teemed and heaved with squirming life. Typhon became a great hollow colony of disease-carrying insects. The bone funnels that spouted from his back coughed black decay as Nurgle's servants regurgitated the psychic energies pulsing through what was left of the Herald's body. Typhus, host of the Destroyer Hive, had been born, and most blessed and most cursed of all of his repugnant kin. After the defeat of Horus and the end of the heresy, Typhus and his warriors fled into the Eye of Terror. Here he found himself fighting against the most surreal creatures that he had ever seen. Worms of living crystal were shattered by his great scythe blade. 8-armed minotaurs were reduced to biological sludge by his psychic blast, and shapely sirens met their end on the mutant horn of bone that had sprouted from his forehead. Just as before, he had survived all these challenges. Mortarion, by this point a demon prince of Nurgle, eventually claimed a distant demon world known as the Plague Planet. There he ruled as king of demons and corrupt space marines alike. The demon Primarch shaped his demon world to resemble that of Barbarous, his former homeworld. Typhus, however, was sickened by this sentimentality. His loyalty to Nurgle waxed strong when mortals feared death, and by this point Typhus was an unholy legend in his own right, and he was not content with an existence as being his Primarch's right hand. Instead, he marshaled those whose bitter enmity for the Imperium still burned fiercely, and he formed a plague fleet that took to the tides of the warp once more. At their head flew the Terminus Est, the spear of Typhus that he intended to plunge deep into the heart of the Imperium. With the blessing of the Father of Plagues, he would deal a festering wound that would never heal to those who survived the Horus heresy. Typhus is known to have laid waste to many worlds and waged many battles in the name of Nurgle. He has even traveled into the gardens of Nurgle, where he has battled cornet demons. Typhus also laid waste to the world of Lygidia, with a noise plague where the infected became forced to eternally sing a hymn to the Lord of Decay. He also killed 23 billion people on Hydra Minoris, all thanks to the zombie plague. In the 13th Black Crusade, Typhus's plague fleet was the first chaos force encountered by the Imperium. In this crusade, his forces went on to ravage the Agrippina sector. He also oversaw the infestation and desecration of a holy planet. Typhus once again attempted to unite the Tuchalcha engine with its brother device, this time in cooperation with the fallen angel Astalin. The two planned together the original Fallen with Typhus's own forces to create a new legion known as the Death Angels. However, they were foiled by the Dark Angels led by Azrael and, surprisingly, Cypher. And now we move on to his war gear. Now Typhus is a formidable psyker who has been favored by Nurgle, and is able to call forth both Nurgle's rot and the Winds of Chaos psychic powers. In addition to this, he also employs an array of malefic weapons and war gear gifted to him by the Lord of Decay. For example, his Terminator armor. This ancient suit of cataphracti pattern Terminator armor encloses his corpulent Nurgle-blessed body. This archaic battle plate dates back to the time of the Horus Heresy. He also wields MANREAPER. MANREAPER is a demonic power scythe. It is said that even the smell of this scythe can lay a mortal man low for weeks. Though Typhus has never confirmed the rumors that he dipped this weapon in Nurgle's own brew of filth, any mortal being that is touched by this blade quickly collapses into a pile of festering bone. He also carries with him a hand flamer. Typhus often utilizes this hand flamer with chem munitions in conjunction with his master-crafted Death Shroud power scythe. The Destroyer HIVE. Typhus's muddy Terminator armor has become as much a part of him as the demonic insects that live inside. Fused chimneys of bone sprout from his torso, and in the thick of battle, these tubes belch out great clouds of demon flies, each buzzing into the cracks and gaps they can find into the armor of their opponents, stinging their victims with demon poison until there's nothing left but a pile of plague-riddled corpses. Typhus also carries with him the BLIGHT grenade. The Death Guard's Plague Marines long ago perfected the grisly practice of using their enemies' decapitated heads as crude grenades. Hacked from the neck, filled with maggot-laden toxic goop, and sealed with wax, these projectiles burst apart on impact to spray liquid disease and biting stinging flies in all directions. Look upon me and know that I can slay you at will. You have no defense except one, to look into the darkness at the back of your own mind. There you will find Father Nurgle waiting to offer you life in return for your submission. Deny him, and you are mine. Typhus, the Herald of Nurgle. And there you go, guys. That was 40 facts on one of the best characters in 40k in my opinion, Typhus. Let me know what you guys think about this awesome dude. I love his sculpt. He's so bulky, and he looks just badass with the horn and the scythe. He's really cool. Unfortunately, not my third favorite, which a lot of you guys guessed, but in reality, it is Farsight number 1, number 2 is Ahriman, and number 3 is Fulgrim. So there you have it, guys. That is my top 3 favorite characters in all of 40k. Typhus would probably be number 4 or 5 just because he's so badass. Yes, I know, guys. Call me a heretic. I'm over here liking Chaos and Xenos. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about him in the comments below. If you guys field him in battle, is he as good as he is awesome? Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook because we are posting all the epicness of 8th edition. And I'll see you guys next time. As always, I'm the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, signing out.